today?
Two things. First of all, I want to, and this is just, yeah, I got to tell you the truth. I'm kind of tickled pink here because I'm up on Blue Sky. Now, when, of course, it became clear, now I wanted to get off Twitter years ago, but I kind of bought the idea that, it was worthwhile and it was there. And then basically as the campaign, as Trump's campaign went on last year, and we got Hitler salutes from Elon Musk and stuff like that. And Elon Musk with big checks trying to buy off Republican races and stuff like that. I said enough's enough. And as a matter of fact, and I want to shame any Democrat because there's a lot of Democrats who I want to leave, but I mean, my followers are here. I'm like, oh my God. I had a lot of followers on Twitter too. But if Hitler salutes are not the deal breaker, if trying to buy off elections is not the deal breaker, the fact that he can't stand the Democratic Party and you are here helping him make money, you are spineless people if you're still on Twitter. You just are. I'm completely off. I've been off. So, and then we went over, we did Threads, we did Blue Sky, we did Mastodon. And of course, I've had the Facebook page for a long time. There's, and Facebook, for some reason, was by far my most popular. I had 10,000 followers in Facebook, which is, wow. I mean, I'm stunned by that. Until now, last night, I broke 20,000 followers on Blue Sky. And I am just tickled pink. That people are actually thinking, that's a full Hopkins. You know that? That's Patrick. I've got a Hopkins worth of followers. The city of Hopkins is a suburb I live in. I got a full city of Hopkins following me now on the old on Blue Sky.
All right, that's amazing.
Well, it is. It's very cool. A lot of people there. I want to just, first of all Democrats should be off Twitter. Period. End of story. I don't want to hear this. Well, I gotta go fight. No, you don't. And plus the fact that all you're in there, you're just basically. You're doing an Andy Dufresne sewer crawl just to basically go on there because it's 90% of it is just trolls and horrible human beings. Get off of the damn thing. I don't care how many followers you have because you know what? Blue Sky is a much better place. I've had probably 3 rightos bother me in my entire experience on Blue Sky. It's fun. It's peaceful. It's motivating. It's encouraging. I like Blue Sky a lot. So you should be off of Twitter and should be on Blue Sky. End of story. You just should be. And to all the people who are following me, my God, really? You're more than welcome to let me know. I mean, what happened is it kind of just blew up one day. It started getting tons of followers, and it's not really slowed down. If you are following me on Blue Sky, I'm not following you. Let me know. I will follow you back. All right. It became too much for me to kind of go weed through who's on there. So let me know if you're there. Blue Sky is Matt McNeil Show on Blue Sky. Of course, if you do still like Mastodon, you're more than welcome. I'm still posting there. Of course, on Threads, I do a lot of stuff there. And of course, Facebook as well. The Facebook Matt McNeil Show Progressive Citizen X. You're more than welcome to find me there. And I do some stuff on Substack, but not as much. Not like Cliff Schechter does. So you're there. The other thing I want to make sure I mention here, and this is, I knew I had to address this because suburban white people are just terrified right now because there's a new trend with those kiddos and they don't know what it means. And when I saw one friend posting, this is drug reference, the other person saying this is some sort of reference to a child sex club that these children are in, I said, okay, no, you okay. It's time for me to address 6-7. Okay. You know what, Patrick? Do you know what 6-7 is?
This is the very first time I've heard this term.
Okay, because a lot of people know it from the South Park episode. South Park brought this up. 6-7. And it's generally accompanied with a hand gesture where you float your hands up and down like you're doing a scale. Okay. It's not very old. It's been less than a year. It's apparently everywhere right now. It just basically, it's 6-7. 6-7. 7. All right. Is it a code? No. It's 6-7. Okay. It's the word 6 followed by the word 7. Is a cool way to say something is at 6 and 7s, i.e. the state of disorder or confusion? It is not that. What does it mean? It's just something young people today are saying or shouting. 6'7". It doesn't really mean anything, okay? Stop trying to add, oh my God, the Satanists are at it again with 6'7". No, it's just, this is how easily you guys are played. Generation Alpha, is Generation Alpha after Generation Z? It's Gen Alpha, isn't it? Gen Alpha is basically looking at you and laughing at you guys because you are easily manipulable. The same people that say there was, I don't even want to get into like the Fox News, they were wearing a carnation. You know what carnation means? Horse, exactly. And by the way, everyone who's my age, who's Generation X, you just basically horse or smack. Once again, terms for drugs that white people came up with. Anyway, does it mean it's fashionable to yell at 2 consecutive numbers? It's more than fashionable. It's a plague. 6'7" has become the bane of school teachers everywhere. It basically, imagine telling your turns to page 67 only to fall for all of them to shout 6'7" at you. So the question here is, why are children then doing this? They don't even know. They just know it's 6'7". And it's something that ranges from college kids, because they're at one point in the Nebraska game with Minnesota and Nebraska college football game, the score was 6'7". And holy God, my timeline was inundated with college kids going 6'7", 6'7". For God's sake. Basically, it doesn't matter where it came from. It doesn't mean anything. The phrase 6'7" in its modern sense appears to originate with the Philadelphia rapper Skrilla's 2024 track Doot Doot 6'7", which is either a reference to a police radio code or 67th Street or something else. And that's about the closest thing you're going to find to it. So no, it's not a drug reference. No, it's not some sort of sex club. No, it's not the Satan, guys. It's just something from an album. It really went viral when the song was reportedly used in the soundtrack video clips of the NBA basketball star LaMelo Ball, who is, by the way, happens to be 6'7" tall. Somewhere along the line, the phrase acquired accompanying hand gestures, like the weighing scales. South Park did a whole thing on it, and it just, that's kind of where it went. Basically, it's just a phenomenon. And it's a phenomenon because this is the first time Gen Alpha and the latter part of Gen Z. It's the time that they have been able to basically own older white people and make them panic by just screaming something, and they love it. Okay? So, uptight white suburban people. It doesn't mean a damn thing, okay? 6'7" doesn't mean anything. It's just basically to try to get at you, all right? So stop trying to add provenance to it. Stop trying to say, if you really go back and study the Bible, oh my God, no. All you're doing is playing into their game, and they're laughing every time one of you clown cars goes it's horrible what these kids are doing. You are, particularly the MAGA people, they still think that there are children dressed up as animals using litter boxes in classrooms in schools. They literally think that this is the case. This is Gen Alpha and Gen Z basically saying, oh, you're that stupid. Well, then let's see how far we can take this. And mission accomplished. All right, you get it? 6'7". All right? 6'7". Patrick, it's 6'7", man. It's 6'7".
What does that mean?
Okay, you see, okay, well, just never mind. We need to have a meeting at the school. No, you don't. You do not need to have a meeting at the school. You do not. If you see 6'7", if there's like a football player that's number 6'7", you're about to hear it, okay? Just tone it down. Speaking of toning it down, I can't tell you how funny it is, the amount of MAGA people that have come to the social media pages and are constantly talking about, because I posted the pictures of the No Kings rally. And I was out once again on the western side of Minneapolis in the suburb of Minnetonka. We had a great time out there, a huge crowd, a few thousand people. And I posted these pictures up there, and the amount of MAGA people who come out there is like, oh, good little protest. He's still your president. Here. Now, I understand you might have forgotten the last 4 years, but you guys, once again, just spent the last 4 years screaming, Joe Biden's not my president. You just did. You spent 4 years screaming how Joe Biden wasn't your president. And now all of a sudden you act like, well, if he's the president, it's a tantamount. You can't question it. You can't ever question it. He's the president. Just let it go. Okay. Just let it go. You know, you look pathetic. And the reality is no, you guys, as much as you say, we all voted for him. Yeah, you voted for him because you're stupid idiots or you're racists. Or you're a billionaire. Which one is it? Are you an idiot, a racist, or a billionaire? It's pretty much one of those three categories. I will also say it's funny to watch Republicans try to argue that in response to the No Kings, Trump put out his little video. And if you hadn't seen this, you don't need to. It's childish. It's basically him flying a jet with a crown on his head. And he flies over a peaceful protest in New York, and literally drops feces on the protesters. That is the entire thing. It says, I pooped on them. Like this is something that is, seriously, it's the Biff Tannen of comedy. It's just, I did funny thing, me funny, ha ha, sort of thing. And it not only does it escape you guys, you clowns, that this is quite literally realism. He thinks he's a king. He thinks he can do things like fly a jet, and he wishes he could defecate on peaceful protesters, American citizens. More on this when I come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
The independently owned Next Chapter Booksellers is the perfect destination for your next book. The friendly staff at Next Chapter Booksellers are great at making recommendations no matter your age or taste. Plus, they have frequent events including book readings and meet and greets with authors. And they sell more than just books. They have a wide variety of puzzles and games, too. So stop in and browse the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shamblot from Shamblot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shamblot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. October is here, so Halloween is right around the corner. And if you're thinking of having a horror movie marathon with friends, you better make sure your home doesn't look like something out of one of those movies. Don't ghost your carpet this fall. My cleaning heroes at Zero Res can help get all those spooky smells and creepy stains out of your home. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, any surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified for from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. But there's something even scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home, and it's in your air ducts. This month, take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning service. Don't let a missed deal haunt you. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com today and ask for the AM 950 special. Back order forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Let's make tonight the weekend. I don't wanna wait. I don't wanna wait. I don't wanna wait. Got no reason.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. No, I honestly think this is just shows you kind of how kind of clever Gen Alpha and Gen Z can be. Is I think that honestly this whole 6-7 thing falls back to when, I mean, I don't think this is related. I just said, I think when they saw the white Republican MAGA go crazy over James Comey putting 86-47, and they were like, he's saying to murder them. I think they just looked around and was like, are these guys that stupid? And they just proved it emphatically with 6-7. I honestly do. I think it's like, wow, these guys they're looking to be terrified of something, aren't they? And it should be your first warning that 6-7 really isn't anything when everybody in a video doing 6-7 is laughing their caboose off because they know that there is some uptight white person who's about to go, oh my God. Getting back to the Trump video. So Trump basically, he posts a AI generated video of him with a crown. Like that's a good thing. Flying a jet. By the way, it's going to be hilarious watching the amount of money Republicans are going to have to spend after that dude's long gone off this earth, having to basically say, yeah, sure, he said he was the king all the time, but he really was a champion of democracy. I mean, it's going to be hilarious how much money you guys are going to have to spend to try to rehabilitate him just to a point where we don't think of him as an evil tyrant. But you know, he's in flying a jet with a crown and spraying a peaceful protest in America. So American citizens with feces and we make funny about poop. I mean, seriously, he is that guy. He's that guy when you go over to someone's house to watch like a football game or a basketball game, and there's always that one guy saying, did you see the commercial about the poop? That was so funny. And you're all like, wow, really? You thought that was funny? Yeah, okay. That's Donald Trump. But I also want to put this out. As every Republican saying, it was a joke, it's satire. I want you to think, just take a quick little second. Imagine if Joe Biden had done a video of him dropping feces over a bunch of MAGA people at a NASCAR race. Imagine how these same people right now who are saying it's a joke, it's satire, would be red-veined, spittle flying out of their almost purple lips, furious, smacking hands on podiums. How dare you insult these great, brave Americans? They're just peacefully watching a NASCAR race. You guys would be ballistic. And that's why you're all just a bunch of hacks. And that's why as much as you think this stuff like I'm owning the libs is actually something you're doing, you know, we just kind of look at you and you're kind of sad because you're always, you know, kind of with your outrage is so bipolar that it's hilarious to a point. It's on one side, it's, oh, this is just a joke. The other side, you would be demanding immediate executions of Joe Biden if he was to do the same thing. You guys are a lost cause, man. So yeah, I laugh at you, I mock you, and that's the case. Going to the No Kings, I want to talk a little bit more about this because I had with Schechter on yesterday. I didn't get too much to go in there. A survey of DC's No Kings protesters provided a snapshot of Trump's critics as the backlash to his administration grows. The typical attendee of the DC protest was an educated white woman in her 40s who heard about the event either through friends or via Instagram, according to preliminary data collected by American University researchers who track protest movements. Now, I will say this just from my experience and from what I saw, which is not scientific, just an observation. I would say most of the people, I would say it definitely leaned more women than men at my protest, and I would say they were probably older, probably 50, not 40. But I think that depends on where you're at. I mean, it sounds like, some of these places, they just weren't even anticipating protests. Apparently, there's some town between Austin, Texas, and San Antonio where there was a protest, and Republicans are freaking out because it's like the most brazen show of support of anti-Trump, sentiment that they've seen in that area. And they're like, okay, how is this going? The data gives us an insight who's joining the protest movement, who ensures and motivating them, said Dana Fisher, a professor of American University School of International Service. Nearly 7 million people, actually more than 7 million people. I've seen it as high as 8 million people. 7 million, 8 million people, 6-7, protested nationwide on Saturday as part of the No Kings rallies. One of the largest single-day demonstrations in U.S. history. Protests in 2025 have reached a wider swath in the U.S. than any other point on record, according to Thursday's report from the Harvard Kennedy School. 86% of surveyed protesters in D.C. were white and 57% were women. I will say this. There's a lot of Republicans who are screaming, oh, look how white the crowd was. Dude, our crowd looked like a multicultural rainbow compared to your standard Trump rally. A Trump rally looks like a freaking albino convention. And so you looking at us and saying, where's the minorities? And especially on Fox News. Isn't that your entire base is the whitest people on the planet? I mean, really? People that wish you were living in Yellowstone on the TV show? Yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay. It makes sense we're not seeing people of the color street because people of color are being disappeared, said Fisher. It doesn't surprise me at all, again, considering that ICE raids, and you don't know if ICE is going to be out there. You might want to show support, but you also don't want to end up in some detention center being violently abused by the ICE Gestapo. So, here are the things that motivated them. This is from the DC protest. Trump was number 1. Immigration was number 2. Politics voting was number 3. Federal workforce reduction funding 4. Racial injustice 5. Social welfare 6. LGBTQ rights 7. Income and wealth equality 8. Women's right and reproductive rights were 9 and 10. And I think it's kind of interesting. We need to make sure we understand women's rights and reproductive rights. The Republicans still want to get rid of those rights. Absolutely. 100%. And the same people that overturned Roe v. Wade saying it was a statewide issue, the Supreme Court's going to try to find some way to come back and rule that the federal government can outlaw abortion overall, overriding the state. So, whatever floats your boat, whatever the right wing is being told what to do. 90% of the participants identify with the political left. 47% of the participants reported hearing about the rally from friends or family. Overwhelming majority of respondents said they felt anger, anxiety, and sadness about politics and everything they associated with it. The median age of participants on Saturday's protest in D.C. was 44 years old. And it wasn't, and I think it's very important to remind people of one major important thing. And I'm going to come back after the break and talk about this more, but 7 million people showed up. 7 million, 8 million people showed up to protest and talk about how evil Trump is. And it wasn't terrorists and anti-Americans. It was quite literally the opposite. But there were some hiccups. I'll tell you what, we'll come on back. We'll talk about that. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Come see the trained chimp. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 3 to 5 p.m. weekday afternoons, right here on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Guess who's back? That's right, it's me, the Grinch. Don't miss seeing me at Children's Theatre Company this holiday season. Can those Who's down in Whoville make me into a lover of Christmas joy? Doubtful! Yeah, but you'll have to come and see for yourselves. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas is the perfect holiday treat for the whole family because of me. Yeah, the Who's are in it too. But you'll love it anyway. Tickets and showtimes at childrenstheater.org.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. October is here, so Halloween is right around the corner. And if you're thinking of having a horror movie marathon with friends, you better make sure your home doesn't look like something out of one of those movies. Don't ghost your carpet this fall. My cleaning heroes at Zero Res can help get all those spooky smells and creepy stains out of your home. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, any surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner, with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. But there's something even scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home, and it's in your air ducts. This month, take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning service. Don't let a missed deal haunt you. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com today and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res. ATNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP, or visit snapconstruction.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rainy and windy conditions today with a high near 44. Tonight, cloudy with a low around 37. And Wednesday, partly sunny with a high around 49. Discover perfection at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. From Philly steak to crispy chicken, every bite is exceptional. Add freshly fried fries or rings for a winning combo. Visit mavericksbeef.com or find them off Lexington and Roseville. Unforgettable sandwiches. Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. I love you, Chicago. Seattle, love you as well. The Emerald City, 1150 AM KKNW, and on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Yeah, I was watching that. I felt sorry. The American League playoff series last night between Seattle and Toronto, it quite literally was, unless it's my hometown Twins, I really, both teams, I would have loved to see either team go. Both teams were fun. They had great stories. Toronto ended up winning. Seattle, do not hang your head low. That was a fantastic season. You look great. And I think you guys are set up for a few years here. So I think you're going to be good. We'll have to see. I will say I don't think it matters if it was Toronto in LA or Seattle in LA. That World Series is going to make Trump really mad. So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. 952-946-6205. We had, of course, obviously, Tom Emmer, Mike Johnson, a lot of Republicans out screaming about, these are anti-American terrorists. They're going to burn these cities down, blah, 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 blah. And one of the things I find to be very funny about Republicans is that they so desperately try to avoid January 6th. Whenever they talk about, whenever Democrats get together, chaos ensues. Not necessarily, but you guys want to just kind of skip past that whole January 6th thing, don't you? You don't want to talk about that because when you guys get incited, you guys beat cops and try to overthrow the government like a bunch of terrorist traitors that you are. But, every Republican now, because Donald Trump pardoned them, has to, they were all innocent children. How dare you prosecute them for trying to overthrow the government and wiping their feces on the wall? Exactly. They wanted so desperately because, and let's be honest, what had happened? They got word that Donald Trump was feeling a little bad because they were going to be some protesters. And to give you an idea how bad this is for Trump and how this is really hurting his ego. Take a look at, remember he had his big boy birthday parade with the military and nobody showed up? Nobody showed up outside his squeaky tank. I love you, squeaky tank. But nobody showed up. You take a look at a picture taken from the same position for the No Kings March, and it was packed to the gills. He knows he is not very popular. And that's why, he's just a petty small man. But the White House, basically, which is there to coddle his poor little ego, make him feel good, they sent out the word to the Republicans saying, you guys got to go out there and badmouth these people because, they're all bad. So it all became terrorist, anti-Americans, Hamas, all these things. And it was nothing like that. It was nothing like that at all. But there was a little violence out there. And I think it's fair for us to take a moment and see about the police action that happened. Now, I want to make sure we do mention something here. They had 1,500 people show up for January 6th, and they almost burned down the U.S. Capitol. They had 7 million people nationwide show up for the No Kings rally. And basically, not really much happened. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at the violence that the No Kings people did, shall we? The Fox News, which, okay, well, we know this first story. This first story actually seems like it's a far-right dude. As a matter of fact, it's almost positive it's a far-right dude. A man accused of striking protesters with this pickup truck at a No Kings demonstration in Northeast Ohio, then driving off, insists he did not intend to hit anyone. Now, I want to make sure let me step back here really quick. There are scripts on right-wing internet right now which are designed for people who run into a protester and then drive away, and then you just read the script because this is what you're supposed to say, to basically say, I didn't realize I had done that. I am sorry. I was panicked, or whatever the case may be. He is clearly reading from one of these scripts that he clearly got from online. All right. The Canton Repository, really? Tracked down 77-year-old man who allegedly drove off the side of the road Saturday, hit a 53-year-old woman with his white 2023 Ford F-150 pickup truck, but he denied targeting them on purpose due to their political views against Donald Trump. I don't even remember it happening, the man told the newspaper on Monday. It wasn't anything like on purpose. Thousands of demonstrators gathered near North Park in Jackson Township as part of a nationwide protest against the president and his administration. Organizers say 7 million people took part in more than 2,600 events across the U.S. A woman was taken away in an ambulance with a leg injury after the crash. What those people believe is fine, he said. More power to them. That's what America's all about. They were protesting. I'm not against them. I didn't even see those people, the man added. I was just, driving home, and it was like, I hope I didn't hurt anybody bad or anything like that. Mind you, he didn't stop. He just took off. The newspaper has not identified the man because he's not been yet charged with any crimes, although police are consulting with the city prosecutor's office on possible charges. The driver claims the police have already absolved him. Now, here's where this guy gives up the ghost that this is really about right-wing stuff, because he has to make it seem like, well, the police are on my side for hitting one of those protesters. You can talk to the police, he said. They gave me a total thumbs up. They told me not even to worry about it. They said there was nothing really happening. The paper did talk to the police, and Jackson Township Police Chief Mark Brink said no such conversation has ever taken place. Witnesses provided photos of the truck and its license plate, which allowed police to track down the man in his Jackson Township home. So he hits him and takes off and then insists, I didn't really know I'd done anything. It was definitely on purpose, said demonstrator Lorraine Wilburn, who did not witness the crash but took a photo of the truck's license plate as it drove away. He went up the curb. She took a direct hit. It could have been a lot worse. She put her fist in the air and said, I'm all right, but I think she might have broken her leg. The Bethlehem Township woman who was hit was treated by a nearby hospital. Ended up being minor injuries. So the guy goes out there, drives up. I mean, we're talking, he drove up on he didn't accidentally drive up there. It wasn't like the sidewalk was right next to the street. He drove over the curb and hit a person, then got on the road and drove away. And now it's just like, I didn't realize I'd done this. Now he'd hit somebody. It was clear he hit somebody. And then he basically says, and the police said I was okay. because he's a right-wing stooge that basically is in this world where the cops are on my side. If I kill any protester, the cops have already said I'm okay. They don't have to worry about me, because that's the fantasy these right-wingers live in. All right, but that was one case. That was one case. I mean, clearly someone from the No King side had to have done something wrong. I mean, there's 78 million people, for goodness sakes. Oh, here's another story. Videos and photos have surfaced of an incident in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, on Saturday during the No Kings protest. A 52-year-old was arrested and charged with making terroristic threats. Oh, here is the No Kings guy finally. We've got him, Michael Kolariak. According to the Wilkes-Barre City Police, Kolariak brandished... Oh, he's actually a right-wing guy. Another reminder, every Republican insists that no Republican has ever done anything violent, ever. That's what they say. Well, they don't want to hear this story then. Kolariak, K-O-L-A-R-I-K, Kolariak, brandished a firearm at protesters from inside his vehicle. A video captured by a protester is now circulating online, drawing public attention to the incident. What began as a peaceful protest quickly turned into dangerous, and Kolariak flashed a gun at No Kings demonstrators in the public square in Wilkes-Barre. Organizers at the rally said this isn't the first time he and others had appeared at their rallies. With several witnesses present, he brandished the firearm. Footage of his arrest was later posted. She said that fair share of the video with police before posting it online, and later be surprised to receive an anonymous cell phone showing him holding a gun inside of his red Jeep. And his Jeep was adorned with flags, Trump flags. Of course it was. Although he was taken into custody by police at the scene, they emphasized how different the incidents could have been if he wasn't taken into custody. When he had his hand on the trigger, the gun pointed towards people, the gun was ready to fire. Even if his fingers left, he could have hurt or killed somebody. We're really close to having a very tragic accident happen in our city, and this is terrifying. Yeah, you had basically a guy threatening to kill people, and apparently it was a loaded gun. Kolariak is now facing charges of terrorist threats, reckless endangerment, disorderly conduct, and assault. He's currently being held in Luzerne County Prison on a $50,000 bail, which he is unable to post. So, happy holidays. Enjoy your prison turkey, sir. All right. So, okay, fine. One guy runs into this person with a truck, is a MAGA guy. Fine. Matt. Fine. Another guy's driving around his Jeep in Pennsylvania, waving his gun at people from his Trump flag adorned truck. Fine, man. But there has to be so many more No Kings protesters who got out of line. Okay, let's take a look at the next story here. Oh, well, here's a woman. Remember we talked about more women were at these protesters, so clearly this is probably a No Kings protester. A woman was arrested at the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina No Kings protest on Saturday. Oh, she was actually another right-wing person flashing a gun at protesters. All right. Mary Moriarty, which, by the way, for the people in Chicago and Seattle, this is a little bit of an eye raiser. I've gotten a few people. Mary Moriarty is the name of the Hennepin County attorney in Minneapolis. And so when I said, when she was at her bond hearing, a lot of people said, what? Okay. No, it's a different Mary Moriarty. Mary Moriarty, 59, of Surfside Beach, South Carolina, was observed by officers brandishing a firearm near the protest from her vehicle about 2:09, according to a Facebook post by Myrtle Beach police. She was taken into custody without incident. In a post-Miranda interview, Moriarty admitted to pointing or presenting her firearm at victims as she was driving to the protest, according to arrest warrants. Myrtle Beach police spokesman Randolph Ngati said that there was no additional arrests or citations associated with the protest that he was aware of. So all the No Kings protesters, no problem. High-strung, out of control, righto? Yes. She faces 2 charges of pointing and presenting a firearm at a person, according to Myrtle Beach arrest records. Now, it is South Carolina. If this person was black, they'd be charging them with attempted murder, but still. Alex Mercano, 59, of Myrtle Beach, was protesting the event and did not witness a witness being drawn, but saw her arrest. In video, he said the scene described wearing a shirt, Trump the Revenge Tour. Yep, MAGA. Records show Moriarty was booked into the Myrtle County Beach jail after her arrest. She was granted a $100,000 surety bond following the hearing Sunday morning. Quote, I've had a lot of time to reflect on a very ignorant move, she said, adding, the weapon was not loaded. It was an impulsive, very ignorant thing to do, something I totally regret given the 18 hours that I've had to reflect on it. She also claimed during the hearing that she is not a flight risk, has a full-time job and family in the area. Oh, God. Well, that's good news, isn't it? She's a child. No, she's 59. She's not. I mean, that's usually the Republican standard is she's a child, but no. The judge said there is a concern for public safety and ordered that if released, Moriarty can't have contact with the two victims. Public records show Moriarty posted bail on Sunday. It should be noted that they actually have video. You can go find the video of her bond hearing. And it is kind of a hoot because the one thing she does not say is sorry. She says, I did something stupid, but she does not apologize to the people she threatened with a gun. She talks about how I have so much respect for the police, but no point does she say, I'm very sorry for doing this, because that's in, daddy issues, just they're pricks. I don't know, but that is something Republicans can't do, is just say, I'm sorry, even when they have screwed up. Come on, Matt. There's got to be one. We're already 3-0 right now on MAGA guys attacking protesters, peaceful protesters in the streets. There had to have been one. I mean, God, there had to be 7 to 8 million people out protesting Donald Trump. One of them had to be bad. Oh, here is indeed the one arrest I could find of a No Kings protester. A protester dressed as a, a giant phallic symbol. How about we say it like that? Was handcuffed and arrested during a No Kings demonstration in downtown Fairhope. I believe this is in Alabama or Mississippi. It's one of the two. And citing a debate on social media, similar protests in the county were widely reported as peaceful. This one apparently was out of control. The individual arrested is identified earlier as a 61-year-old Jenna Rena Gamble of Fairhope. Fairhope Police Lieutenant Shane Nolte and Gamble said will be charged with disorderly conduct and resisting arrest because her agitation, the thing that she did would cross the line, was wearing a costume that was a large phallic symbol. As Donald Trump puts out most of the videos on his social media pages. Yeah. This seems to be, does it surprise anybody this is Mississippi or Alabama? No, I don't think it does. It doesn't at all in any way. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
This season, bring the whole family to see Irving Berlin's White Christmas. This smash hit musical based on the classic film returns by popular demand to delight you at Chanhassen dinner theaters. With loads of laughter and a stunning showcase of Irving Berlin songs, White Christmas is a celebration of the romance, friendship, and magic of the holidays. Make your plans today to see White Christmas. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser, and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP, or visit snapconstruction.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, can I mention, of course, I want to throw a little love to a show we've got here on the mothership station, AM 950. It's Ghostbox Radio, which is, you know, if you grew up like I did, Friday, Saturday nights, you turn on the radio late at night, you'd be hearing people talk about ghosts and werewolves and vampires and psychics and aliens and Bigfoot. I loved it. It was great stuff. And especially when I drive across the country at night, I'd kind of scan through the radios and you hear this, and those shows are pretty much gone. They really are. Well, a lot of the radio stations are gone too. Just breaking news. Yeah, a lot of the stations are gone, but a lot of those shows are gone as well. But we've got one here, which is sensational. It's Greg Bach and it's Ghost Box Radio. He has it here on AM 950. And tonight, and this is just, I'm saying this because it is, in case you've missed it, it is the spookiest time of the year. I know. With it being the spookiest time of the year, that means we need to get into our Halloween mode. And he's got Rob Gutro, Gutro. He's talking about his new book, Ghosts of Linville Manor. It's a house in Maryland. It dates back to the 1600s. Apparently, it's Ghostyville. Hello there. Oh, yeah. I'm not going there. I'll read the book. I mean, as long as, no, I'm not. Yeah, okay. I don't need to shag and scuba it. I don't need to. He'll do it for me. Greg Bakken. So it's on the air here, 10 o'clock weeknights on AM 950, but you can always podcast it. So Chicago, Seattle, if you want to hear something fun, Ghost Box Radio, it's good stuff. And like I said, Ghosts of Linville Manor, the 1600s house in Maryland, which is Spook Central. Ooh, the spookiest time of the year. 952-946-6205. Once again, we have this lie that's being told by the Republicans that all the violence in this country comes from the left-leaning people. And it's pretty laughable, especially from, the fact that we have had clearly people who leaning towards the right do some of these horrible crimes. The murder assassination of the Minnesota Speaker Melissa Hortman, the attack on Charlie Kirk. I mean, they're not saying in the Charlie Kirk case, we don't know what his motivations are, but a lot of things were pointing to him being a groyper, and they just haven't released any information. And one of the truth is there's a real big clue right there. If they don't want to talk about the shooting, generally, it's the case. The police across this country, if a lefty's involved with something, they're ready to leak that information to the right-wing news media to do the smear campaigns. They look forward to it. But if it's a right-wing guy, all of a sudden, it would be really irresponsible for us to talk about this. So if you don't see the usual right-wing media subjects talking about what the motivation or the background of the individual would be in a case, almost always that means that person is a right-wing person. And just the police department doesn't want to release that information because they don't want it getting out. As opposed to police departments that go on out there and they know who exactly they're calling. They have them on speed dial. Here's all the information you need. Go out there and character assassinate. And they love doing that. Reality is most of the really horrible human beings on this planet right now lean to the MAGA ilk. Man who pardoned by Trump for the attack on the Republican by his supporters in early 2021 has been arrested for allegedly threatening to kill Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. This is not a joke. This was not just something implied. This was a very legit threat. Christopher Moynihan, 34, was arrested by New York State Police on a felony count of making a terroristic threat. According to authorities, the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force alerted state police on October 18th that Moynihan of Clinton, New York, had made threats to kill a member of Congress. After what the police described as a thorough investigation, Moynihan was arrested and arraigned in a court in Clinton. The police did not publicly name the member of Congress in its initial statement on Sunday, but in a statement released on Tuesday, Jeffries said he was grateful to federal and state local law enforcement for their swift and decisive action to apprehend a dangerous individual who made a credible threat against me with every intention to carry it out. Like I said, if this was a threat against a Republican, the right-wing news media would have, oh, here it is right here. Look, they're trying to come after us. It's a threat against Hakeem Jeffries. Well, we need to keep this quiet. News reports citing court documents have obtained related to the case report that Moynihan allegedly sent text messages saying that he planned to eliminate Jeffries, who represents New York's 8th Congressional District. Jeffries on Monday spoke at the Economic Club of New York. That was where the target was going to be in New York on a Monday event. Reuters reported the complaint states that Moynihan sent text messages on Friday that read, Hakeem Jeffries makes a speech in a few days in NYC, and I cannot allow this terrorist to live. Even if I'm hated, he must be eliminated. I will kill him for the future. Wow. That is not a mix in words sort of thing. But once again, hey, we can't tell you who he threatened here because, it was a right-wing attacker on a left-wing target. If it was the other way around, we'd let you know right away. The recipient of the text was not identified, according to Reuters. The complaint also reportedly states that the text message placed the recipient in reasonable fear of an imminent murder and assassination of the representative. Moynihan, after his arrest, was scheduled to appear in court on Thursday. He was ordered held on lieu of $10,000 cash bail, $30,000 bond, or a secured bond of $80,000. In Jeffries' statement on Tuesday, House Minority Leader pointed out that Moynihan was among more than 1,500 people who participated in the January 6th attack who were granted clemency by Trump. Good people, as Trump says, and Republicans say. I will also mention there was another potential attack here, and a man with mental challenges. The fact that here's another one. Here's another clue that this is a right-wing guy. If they're already making excuses for him in the story when the story breaks, that generally means, hey, I don't want to badmouth this guy. He's got some mental health problems. No, this guy was a terrorist who wanted to shoot up an airport. This happened at Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta. Yesterday, a man, 49-year-old Billy Cagle of Cartersville, showed up to the airport just after 9 a.m. Atlanta Police Chief Darren Schreibaum said he live streamed on social media that he had plans to go to the airport to shoot it up. Cagle's family said they heard about the threats, immediately notified the police, who authorities said had past run-ins with Cagle, a previously convicted felon. Cartersville police immediately told Atlanta police, who notified airport security. They tackled him there. Rural guy in Georgia, pickup truck, and they're already making excuses. He's got mental health issues. Yeah, and he had a gun. It was an AR-15 with 27 rounds of ammunition that he planned on bringing into the airport. Yeah, another right-wing guy. But, hey, don't let that get in the way of Republicans' lies. Chicago and Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, Hour 2 is up next.
Hi, this is Paul Metza. Join me in celebrating my 70th birthday show, which is also album release party for my new record, Songs of Resistance and Resolve, a 13-song disc of my politically charged songs recorded from 1984 to 2025, including my new one, No Kings, No Crown, with the great Duluth musician Al Sparhawk. The show features myself, along with the legendary band Cats Under the Stars trio, Sonny Earl, Mary Harris, and my two new singers, the Tilt Down Titanettes. This is a benefit for AM 950. All media is under pressure from the current administration. It is very important to celebrate all the great things AM 950 does for our progressive community. Tickets for the show on November 2nd, 7 p.m. at AstorHouseMPLS.com.
Your Need to Know News headquarters, the Thom Hartmann Program, AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. A source tells the AP plans are on hold for President Trump to sit down with Russian leader Vladimir Putin to talk about resolving the war in Ukraine. As the government shutdown goes on, Senate Republicans met at the White House with President Trump, who called on Democrats to do the right thing.
In the greatest moment in the history of our country, in terms of wealth, in terms of job creation, and in terms of investment coming in, these guys go on strike. It's really a shame.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says Republicans were at the White House
not for negotiations, not to work on any path out of a shutdown or to avert a healthcare crisis, but for a Rose Garden pep rally with Donald Trump.
In Israel, Vice President J.D. Vance says the ceasefire in Gaza is going better than expected.
Vance and other White House envoys showed optimism over how the ceasefire is playing out in the Middle East. They said progress was better than anticipated as they visited a new center in Israel for civilian and military cooperation. Vance also urged a little patience as Hamas returns the bodies of hostages to Israel.
This is difficult. This is not going to happen overnight. Some of these hostages are buried under thousands of pounds of rubble. Some of the hostages, nobody even knows where they are. That doesn't mean we shouldn't work to get them, and that doesn't mean we don't have confidence that we will. It's just a reason to counsel in favor of a little bit of patience.
Vance and others are in Israel to shore up the ceasefire following a deadly violence over the weekend and questions over the plan for long-term peace. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A man whose convictions for storming the Capitol were erased by President Trump's mass pardons has been arrested on a charge that he threatened to kill House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Christopher Moynihan is accused of sending Jeffries a text.
And when it comes to these extremists out there, you better watch how you talk when you talk about me.
Moynihan was convicted of a felony for his role in the Capitol riot. This is AP News.
Rain-X wipers are the #1 wiper blades in America. That means all kinds of drivers choose Rain-X. Big drivers in small cars choose Rain-X. Small drivers in big cars choose Rain-X. Drivers with long hair and short commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with short hair and long commutes choose Rain-X. Drivers with pets on board, babies on board, and bored babies on board choose Rain-X. Basically, drivers who love a clear view of the road all choose Rain-X wipers, the #1 wiper blades in America.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at Easter.
Your time is precious. Why are you still mowing your own lawn? I'm Alex Knorr, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. At Buzzcut Mowing, I offer weekly mowing, leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I work hard so you can relax and enjoy time with family and friends. Call today and I'll handle the rest. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Oh, you know what that music means. It means I'm back, baby! The Grinch. Don't miss seeing me at Children's Theatre Company this holiday season. Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas is great for anyone who likes classic Grinchy tunes, and me, the mean one in the flesh, or in the green fur. Make your plans to spend the holiday season with me. You'll remember it forever. Tickets and showtimes at childrenstheatre.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rainy and windy conditions today with a high near 44. Tonight, cloudy with a low around 37. And Wednesday, partly sunny with a high around 49. Discover perfection at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. From Philly steak to crispy chicken, every bite is exceptional. Add freshly fried fries or rings for a winning combo. Visit mavericksbeef.com or find them off Lexington and Roseville. Unforgettable sandwiches. Maverick's Real Roast Beef.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Tuesday. Matt and Patrick and Brett. Oh my. Brett stepping into the studio. Of course, you've got an interview with Patrick Cooligan here in just a moment. I do have to make sure I mention as well. I mentioned this last hour. Mentioning again here, we've got Ghostbox Radio tonight on the air after Patty Vasquez at 9. Ghostbox is at 10. And tonight, Ghosts of Linville Manor, house dating back to the 1600s in Maryland. This is a book by Rob Guttrow, and he's going to be on with him today. Have you ever been in like one of these really old ancient houses that are still there? Are a few, most of them obviously on the East Coast here. Have you ever been in one of those?
Not myself, but being that they're that old, I imagine there's quite a bit of activity at those when it comes to the paranormal.
There's a gloominess that even if it's a bright, sunshiny day, you walk in these places like, oh yeah, this is why no Puritan ever smiled. It's like these places are dark, man. It does not surprise me, man. It's the spookiest time of the year, and these East Coast towns. I mean, it's all on the East Coast. It's all these ancient houses. In the Midwest, it's all these abandoned insane asylums in prisons. What are we doing? I guess, guys, tear those down, man. We don't need them there. I guess ghosts need a place to live.
Neither location really had a lot of warm fuzzies in those, whether it's a insane asylum or a Puritan house.
I feel the same way to Buffalo Wild Wings. That sauce didn't sit right. Okay, so Ghostbox Radio tonight, once again, Linville Manor in Maryland. Ghosts of Linville Manor is the book. Rob Guttrow joining our good friend Greg Bakken. That's tonight at 10 o'clock. Make sure you're here for that. I had a service call. I had the window 8 to 12. If you have a window like that, you are only going to ever see your service guy either A, first thing right away, or B, last thing. Today it was the last. My 8 to noon window, I get a call at 11:45. Hey, I'm on my way. I'm barely making in the window there. Good news, it was a quick little service thing. It was no major problem, but still, it is remarkable to me. I cannot remember the last time I had a service call, plumbing, furnace, whatever the case may be, where the window was like 8 until noon, and I'm here at 10. Really? Okay, right.
Oh, that never happens. No, exactly.
It's either first thing or last thing. That whole window. Always the case. Always the case.
Couldn't we do that in radio? We'll host the show at some window between noon and 6. You'll catch us at that point.
Welcome to podcasting. Podcasters are just radio people that don't know how to work a clock, man. That's
you're not wrong. I have to admit.
Oh, so your first show is an hour and 20 minutes. Your second show is 15. Okay, sure. All right. Why not? We can do that. Go team, go. Hey, we're all headed that way eventually. I'll be in the podcasting thing. You'll find me. You can already find me on podcasts. I'm heading that way anyway. You guys win. We'll be there soon. Okay. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. So I'm going to bring up a story here, and it's an ugly story, but I also want to bring in something on the backside of this, which I'm wondering if this is by no means going to validate what we're about to talk about, but if it's accentuating it, if it's creating this even worse than it was before. This has to do with apparently the Minnesota Vikings. Of course, they did not have a good game. They lost to the Philadelphia Eagles at home. The Vikings said they're disgusted by racial slurs they say were directed at cornerback Isaiah Rodgers during Sunday's game against the Eagles. The team released a statement on social media on Monday afternoon that basically they said, we are disgusted by the racial slurs directed at Isaiah Rodgers following yesterday's game. We have said previously, there simply is no room for racist words or actions in sports or society. We support Isaiah and all players who unfortunately experience this type of ignorant and prejudicial behavior far too often, and we ask our fans to continue to fight to eliminate racism. All right. Kevin Seifert with ESPN said Rodgers posted a screenshot on Instagram following multiple messages. So these, I guess, were coming at him. It wasn't so much in the game or at US Bank, which I'd be shocked, really. I mean, I'm sure, I guess you could get some knucklehead in there that's, gets a few in them, and all of a sudden the racism that is truly their inner id comes flying out. But this was apparently from social media. Posted a screenshot on Instagram showing multiple messages that included the N-word. Seifert said another message from a social media user said, "You are," the letter U and the letter R. Okay. "You are worse than Hitler. Now, once again, I want to make sure we understand what you're talking about. The cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings, Isaiah Rodgers, and they're saying you are no worse than Hitler. The individual who wrote the message apparently later apologized because he realized a cornerback in the NFL is not Hitler. If someone manages to catch a pass in front of him, that doesn't make it the Third Reich. Okay? Rodgers, in a post on X, said, racism is real, and that's not even the worst I've seen. Rodgers said in reply to his post that the slurs were some of the most racist comments he'd ever seen since entering the league. This is not unique. You see this in college football, too. A lot of people coming out of college. Sometimes racism, sometimes other things. I want to ask you a question. This racism, these people are racist. And you can apologize all you like. The fact that you were stupid enough to basically accuse a cornerback in the NFL of being Hitler, you're an idiot. Okay? You're an absolute moron. Is this being, emphasized? Is it getting worse because more and more people have money on games, and the amount of these sites that are out there that basically allow you to bet on how many times Isaiah Rodgers will stop a pass or something of that, just these banal bets that people get involved in because they've had 6 bad ones. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to see if I can make this one work. Do you think that, these people are clearly racist, but is it making this racism more prevalent because they lost $5,000 on this bet and they should have bet the money in the first place? And so basically then they have no restraint on the racism that rides with inside them.
I'm glad you brought up that point. It expanded the idea of gaming a little bit further, because at first I assumed, well, fantasy football, someone's mad their fantasy team lost and they're mad at Isaiah Rodgers. But I think you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about like these FanDuel or DraftKings where you can place those instant bets, like on 3rd down and 6, he will automatically stop a pass. You can make a weird bet like that. Or
the kicker miss this kick?
Yeah,
you can. Who will the person make a catch? And we should make a note here. It's not necessarily clear if this racism is because Rodgers failed to do something or because he did do something. Did he stop a pass getting passed? And that he did that instant bet saying the Philadelphia Eagles guy was going to catch a ball and Rodgers makes a play to knock the ball down, just costs the guy $300 and he's all upset. And so the racism come flying out. It could be that Rodgers did his job, but because he bet against him doing his job, that basically that's why this guy became racist, big racist pants.
That's another good point too. I would probably say it's the other way, just because I don't think the Vikings defense was doing anything against the Eagles the other day. No, but I think that could have been a possibility too. In really any instance where, someone makes a stop when you were betting on the other guy to do something. Yeah, that's the ugly side when it comes to these instant bets, because as we said, you can bet on just about anything. You could bet on how the center is going to snap the ball, whether it's going to be a fumble.
We talked about this last year as we were in the playoffs, not the Vikings, but just that we were watching the playoffs. And there was a series of gambling site ads that made it seem like you need to be betting every 5 minutes on something. You need to take the over. You need to take the under. You need to make sure, is this guy going to throw for how many yards? Is this guy going to miss a kick? Is going to be doing this? And I said back then, guys, this is really freaking dangerous, because what you get is people who get desperate. It's like Albert Brooks in Lost in America, where it's actually his wife who goes in there and they keep she loses a bunch of money, but keeps betting, thinking she's going to win it back. It doesn't work that way. And these guys, they get into desperation. I'm betting $100 I didn't really have that. Van Ginkel is going to have a sack, and he doesn't have the sack. Well, then all of a sudden you gamble that Wentz is going to throw 4 passes for 30 yards or more. He doesn't do that, and you get even more desperate. And so you're gambling money away. I think we're getting into this, and I'm not saying that doesn't in any way excuse the racism here. I mean, that's just the inner personality of these jackasses coming to light. But what it does is it's the losses in gambling. Is that what's manufacturing this irrational rage, which is manifesting itself against these players? And as much as we'd like to think that it was Isaiah Rodgers screwing up a play, there is the possibility they might be mad at him because he did make a play on this. That's the crazy part about the whole thing.
I think, too, whenever you see those commercials, they always start you off. You'll get 100 free prize bucks to start your betting just to get you hooked in.
$5, you get $300 worth of bets. They're gearing it all towards kids. I mean, I've talked to my children saying, stay away from this stuff. This is just, they're trying to get you addicted to it. And we actually, was it last week tonight, had a pretty good segment on that a few months back that they basically said, no, this is basically about trying to get as many people addicted to gambling as possible. In the same sense as, let's just be honest with it. As much as alcohol companies like to sit down and say, drink responsibly, the reality is they want you to buy a case of beer every weekend and guzzle that sucker down, because that's how they make money. This is vice. When you get vice as your cause, it does cause people to to overindulge. And if you're a racist and you're overindulging, I don't think it's a surprise all of a sudden that racism comes out.
Yeah, that's not a good combination.
Absolutely not. All right. I saw that. I wanted to bring it up. And to Isaiah Rogers, you're a really good player, sir. I'm sorry that this happened to you. You don't deserve this, nor do the college kids that are getting this in volleyball and in girls soccer. Guys, stop it. And if you just delete the apps off your phone if you can't control yourself, for goodness sakes. Patrick Cooligan, it is a Tuesday. That means Patrick Cooligan from the Minnesota Reformer usually joins us. What are you guys going to chat on here?
Yeah, so Patrick had a great column calling out Tom Emmer for his comments that he made about protesters at the No Kings rally. So I
specifically laid off that one because I was hoping he would talk about that.
Yeah, so we're going to be getting into that. And by the way, I encourage you to read that over at MinnesotaReformer.com because he calls out Emmer for just the atrocious comments he made last week. But of course, we had some other news to talk about as well, including Keith Ellison seeking a third term as AG, and then Minneapolis Public Schools running into some budget problems. They may have to close some buildings in the future. And Patrick brings up an interesting point that this is probably going to be a problem for other areas of Minnesota in the future. So a lot to get to today.
That school problem, we talked about it yesterday, that school problem, that inner cities and outstate schools have the same problem with this. And I like that Minnesota Reformer story because it did talk about there's a serious capacity issue that they've got there. They got to figure out what they're going to do with all that stuff. Patrick Cooligan from the Minnesota Reformer talking to Brett right here on AM 950.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It is a Tuesday afternoon, and that means it's time to speak with Patrick Cooligan, who is the editor-in-chief of the Minnesota Reformer. That's a great resource to find for the best in Minnesota news and politics over at MinnesotaReformer.com. As today we're talking about a variety of topics, including Keith Ellison announcing a run for a third term as Minnesota's Attorney General. Plus, we'll be taking a look at a column that criticized Tom Emmer's comments about the No Kings rallies that took place over the weekend. And Minneapolis Public Schools are facing some tough decisions about their future and whether they are going to close a number of schools in future years. So a lot to get to today. Patrick, thanks so much for coming back on the show. Absolutely. So let's start off talking about your column that took aim at Congressman Tom Emmer, who, of course, is in Minnesota's 6th Congressional District, as he took aim at the nationwide pro-democracy protests, No Kings, that drew thousands of ordinary Americans and millions around the country, including many right here in Minnesota. Now, let's talk about that column, because what I find interesting is that Tom Emmer has very much changed over the years. I remember about 10 or so years ago, he was holding a town hall, I believe in St. Cloud, and he was pushing back against constituents who were calling for a moratorium on Somali immigrants, describing the proposed ban as un-American. And at the time, he wholeheartedly supported immigrant populations in the U.S. legally, which is quite the change from where he is today, where he's, of course, very anti-immigration and also was largely calling, using derogatory terms to refer to protesters over the weekend. So overall, what were your thoughts on Emmer's comments, especially as you brought up the example of your mother and father-in-law, who are basically two ordinary Americans, who are the types of people that, Emmer and others have been criticizing?
Yeah, I mean, the comments were so extreme that it was almost laughable that he is claiming that these rallies were put on, was going to be a Hate America rally, and put on what he called the terrorist wing of the Democratic Party. I don't even know what he's referring to. But the funny thing is, I mean, it's clear he wasn't really all that familiar with the No Kings rally, certainly the one that happened in June, because, I mean, the funny thing is, like, leftists have actually criticized No Kings rallies for being, the back to brunch crowd and a bunch of MSNBC boomers and not being militant enough and so forth. And having, if you've been to these, been in touch with these rallies at all, you know that these are they're pretty staid affairs. So it was just what I thought was a tone deaf comment. And I mean, which is not to say that they aren't incredibly damaging to our political discourse. And then, of course, this weekend there were millions of people at these rallies, including tens of thousands in Minneapolis. There was no violence. There was no arrest even in Minneapolis. And suddenly the criticism on the part of Republicans changed to they started mocking the people at the rally, saying it's all a bunch of old white people. So I thought that was kind of a funny the way that went down. But you're right about Emmer was at one point. I think we thought of him as somebody who at least thought independently. He was an early Trump backer, but he did vote to certify the 2020 election results. And now obviously he's just completely traded in his entire brain for in exchange for being in Trump's good graces. And we could see this happening back in early 24. He endorsed Trump, and Trump apparently told an associate about Emmer. They all bend the knee, which of course is deeply ironic now that we're talking about the No Kings rally. So another hugely disappointing surrender on the part of a Republican who cannot stand up to Trump and has actually become just another mouthpiece for him. And the other funny thing is that he, it's like, oh, he's Mr. Tough Guy up here with these demagogic remarks. And really what it shows is that his own weakness in the face of the Trump movement and Trump himself.
Yeah, absolutely. As Donald Trump said himself, they always bend the knee. And I think Emmer is certainly concerned about a possible primary if he weren't to bend the knee enough, being that he is in a very red district. So he's always got to watch out for those primary challenges. And hence, here's how we get Tom Emmer. I don't know if we call him version 2.0, 3.0, or whatever, but he's certainly way different than he was when he was first elected to Congress a little over 10 years ago. Again, you can find more about that column. Again, Tom Emmer Talks Tough, Reveals Weakness over at MinnesotaReformer.com. Other big news I wanted to talk to you about today has to do with Keith Ellison, Minnesota's Attorney General, announcing that he will be seeking a third term as Minnesota's AG. He has largely been part of the face of the resistance of many attorneys general throughout the country, as he's been battling the federal government on topics ranging from trans athlete bans to education funding and programs for crime victims. Now, in the previous two elections back in 2018 and 2022, Keith Ellison won very narrow election victories, but of course still ended up winning. So I'm curious what his thoughts are for possibly running, or not, well, he is running now for this third term, and whether now kind of being the face of this resistance against the Trump administration could help him as he seeks re-election to a third term here as AG in Minnesota.
Yeah, he's become, as you said, the face of Minnesota's resistance, along with Governor Walz. But Ellison, especially because of all the lawsuits, there's more than 24 lawsuits that he has filed, usually in a coalition with other states, on a whole wide range of issues related to the the administration's overstepping its constitutional bounds. And there's so many different constituencies that are that have an interest. I mean, it's everybody from crime victims whose funding has been threatened, federal workers, the birthright citizenship. So there's just, he's hitting a lot of different constituencies that are, I'm sure, very thankful for his activism. He also in his second term, his first term, he was obviously a somewhat polarizing figure because he took on the huge task of prosecuting Derek Chauvin. That's a little bit in the rearview mirror. The other thing about Ellison, I think, that gives him an advantage is that he clearly loves the job. And I, the fact that he left Congress, a lot of people had questioned that, why he would come back here. It's not, if you come back usually from Washington to be governor, he came back to be attorney general. I think he just really wanted to take up these cases, especially to protect consumers and antitrust. He has a huge lawsuit going against the oil industry on climate change. So I think he loves being this crusading lawyer working on the people's behalf. I think that really shows up in in his presentation, and certainly in his caseload. And I think he's in a stronger position than he was 4 years ago.
Yeah, I would agree. He almost did the reverse thing when it comes to politics, where normally you would have someone who would move from an attorney general's office and then go to Congress. But he, of course, did the exact opposite, moving from Congress and then to that AG's office. And as we did mention, he is seeking that third term, which when it comes to being the governor of Minnesota, that is pretty unprecedented. But at least when it comes to the attorney general of Minnesota, well, a 3-term AG or more isn't anything new, as Ellison's predecessor, Lori Swanson, served 3 terms, while Skip Humphrey was elected to 4 consecutive terms back in the 1980s and 1990s. But do you think this time Ellison could be any more vulnerable, or is it largely going to depend on who those Republican candidates are? I know we can chat briefly about that, but in a previous conversation, we broke down who some of those possible Republican opponents could be. But now that Ellison is officially in, is he vulnerable, or is this largely the case where the political dynamics could probably give him a pretty good chance at winning re-election coming up next fall?
Yeah, man, I think there's one name that I think people think would be a strong challenger, and that's the former acting U.S. attorney, but still the head of the criminal division, Joseph Thompson, who is relatively well known to the public because of the Feeding Our Future and other fraud prosecutions. But at this point, we don't really even know that he's a Republican. And I honestly don't think he has any interest in running. And so that really leaves, I mean, are there high-profile lawyers? You really need somebody with a big name, or somebody with that can self-fund or is an incredible fundraiser, because name recognition is the most important barrier to most candidates. And so can somebody gather up the money to make themselves better known to voters, or do they already have lots of name ID? I just don't know that there's anybody out there. I'm not saying he's a shoo-in. I think he's just always going to have tough races. But I think he's in a decent position right now.
Well, Madison McMahon recently did a write-up on Keith Ellison seeking that third term, which you can find over at MinnesotaReformer.com. One more news story I wanted to talk about with you, and that has to do with Minneapolis Public Schools. Because MPS is facing some tough decisions about their future, as they have, basically far more classroom space than students right now, along with rising costs and shrinking reserves, as the district is exploring some plans that could lead to the closure of a number of schools throughout the district. Now, supporters of these measures say it's necessary to keep the district financially stable, but many worry about what it could mean for students, families, and neighborhoods already hit hard by cuts to have some of those schools close. So looking at the numbers, Minneapolis Public Schools has currently 29,000 students, but space for about 42,000 students. And as you can tell, those numbers don't match up. So can you explain how that overcapacity problem has put a financial strain on the district and why the closures are now back on the table in Minneapolis?
Yeah, the problem with all these school buildings is that you have these fixed expenses. Like for every building, you need a principal. The principal usually has a secretary or assistant. You have nurses, librarians. You have the food staff, custodians, a social worker in every building. And so if you're operating 100 buildings or 50 buildings, you have if you're operating 100, you've got twice as many as if you have 50, and that really adds up. And they have a lot of school buildings that are not even close to capacity. I mean, half-empty school buildings, and it's very inefficient, and it drains money away from instruction and even extracurricular activities. So it's certainly hurting the district. The problem is, I mean, the easy solution is to shut down schools, but then certainly families, neighborhoods, teachers, everybody has an interest in the next question, which is, well, which schools are you going to shut down and why? And this becomes very fraught. And I think that's why Minneapolis has struggled to do this, even though it's the sort of obvious answer to a lot of their financial problems. And you can see here where the board discussed this at 2 meetings, and they still are being very tentative about it and cautious, and telling the superintendent, basically, examine the possibility of school closures and do it by next spring. So they're not even treating this with any urgency. And so really it's going to come down to both the superintendent and the school board. Do they have the political will to make very tough choices? And then once they've made those choices, will they have the grit to reject what are going to be many calls to reverse those decisions, no matter which schools get closed?
Yeah, that's going to lead to quite a tough situation if you do close schools, because as you said, you'd have to decide which ones. And of course, those constituents are likely going to be very upset about that. But a note you had about this, which I found interesting, is that, well, right now, this problem is primarily confined to Minneapolis. But as we look at the rest of the state with lower birth rates, among other challenges, and not just in Minnesota, but really the entire country, this could be a big issue statewide and even bigger in future years with falling birth rates among these other challenges. So what we're seeing in Minneapolis right now could be a microcosm of what we see in other Twin Cities and Minnesota districts in the future.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it's also true with our public colleges and universities. And it's something that we ought to be thinking about. And I also wonder if we can think of it as an opportunity. There's a lot of potentially valuable real estate, not to sell, but to turn into good community assets. And I think there's a lot of people are struggling to adjust to this new reality. The sooner you do, the sooner you can start thinking of the positive ways that we can transform these buildings into new uses.
Yeah, absolutely. New uses, and unlike selling our other public lands with the federal government, don't need to turn that into a ballroom or anything like that. We can turn many of these buildings into much more useful things than that. But you can read much more about what's happening in Minneapolis over at MinnesotaReformer.com. Again, it's about the Minneapolis School Board possibly closing schools in the future in Minneapolis. Again, MinnesotaReformer.com. We have been speaking with Patrick Houlihan, who is the editor-in-chief of that publication. Make sure you go to MinnesotaReformer.com again for the best in Minnesota news and politics. As always, thanks so much for coming back on the show this afternoon.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Let's take a break and then send things back over to Matt McNeil on AM 950.
He's greedy. He's scrumptious. He's horrid. Roald Dahl's The Enormous Crocodile the Musical is on stage now through November 23rd at Children's Theater Company, featuring eye-popping puppets, a rich score with great groove, and plenty of mischievous audience interaction. Don't miss the U.S. premiere of the smash UK hit. Get your tickets for The Enormous Crocodile the Musical today at childrenstheater.org.
There really is no place like home. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Home Health. When you're faced with an illness or an injury, being able to stay at home and receive care is important. Our home health offers a wide range of services, including skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapies, aides, homemakers, in-home respite care, and 24/7 live-in care. We'll work closely with your primary care provider to come up with an individualized plan for you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. October is here, so Halloween is right around the corner. And if you're thinking of having a horror movie marathon with friends, you better make sure your home doesn't look like something out of one of those movies. Don't ghost your carpet this fall. My cleaning heroes at Zero Res can help get all those spooky smells and creepy stains out of your home. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, any surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner, with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. But there's something even scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home, and it's in your air ducts. This month, take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning service. Don't let a missed deal haunt you. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com today and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat, is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity and styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser, and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids' tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
At Schroman Law, we provide more than just legal documents. We walk alongside our clients to ensure their wishes and legacies are being honored with every choice. And we do this while recognizing that this process can be emotional and weighty. Our team includes attorneys, as well as a grief coach and a published writer ready to assist with legacy letters and extra wishes to go alongside your healthcare directive. Contact us today to learn more at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 38, and Wednesday, sunshine with a high of 49. Maverick's Real Roast Beef is an East Metro treasure with the best roast beef sandwiches in the Twin Cities and so much more. Maverick's is located in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit their website at mavericksbeef.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. So speaking of the reformer, I just wanted to mention this real briefly. They've got this Representative Robbins, who is, I guess, running for the governor's race. And they had an article about her and basically her. It sounds like her initial. Someone must have talked to her about her initial. I love Trump. I love Trump. And like, okay, you go down that road, you are going to be screwed when it comes to the general election if you do win the primary, which once again, considering the misogyny within the Republican Party, good luck with that. I'm going to guess Jensen is going to be the nominee again. But that all being said, especially with I guarantee you RFK Jr. will be making 1 or 2 stops to Minnesota to help him out. So that all being said, she talked about how that we're going to have accountability. We're going to have accountability. You see, here is the reason why I have zero patience for Republicans when it comes to this idea of accountability. Now, we have had people stealing money for a long time. For a long time. We've had tax cheats. Republicans don't care about that, even though that's money that's owed to the American people. And I pay my taxes. Patrick pays his taxes. Brett pays his taxes. We all pay our own taxes. We pay our taxes, but there's this tendency of wealthy white people to think that they don't. I shouldn't have to pay for this. I deserve it for free. And Republicans don't have any problem with that. So defrauding the government by not paying your taxes, Republicans don't have a problem with that. How many wealthy white guys fraudulently stole COVID funds? Oh my God. That was an epidemic of wealthy white business owners basically fraudulently obtaining COVID funds. Not a single Republicans didn't care about that. They didn't care about that. Or the few times, and this is a lesser thing, but we've had a few times where wealthy white people have been caught abusing the welfare system and getting welfare, even though they live in multi-million-dollar mansions. No, you don't ever hear a Republican talk about that. But all of a sudden, you have some fraud where the culprits, at least some of them, are minorities. Oh my, they're stealing, having us blind. This is why I don't have any patience for you. You guys aren't really bothered by the theft of money. You're bothered because Robbins and the rest of these guys, they're bothered because it's black people are doing it or Somali immigrants are doing it. Because it's when white guys are stealing money or not paying their taxes, not a single damn Republican has any problem with that. Because, I wish I didn't have to pay taxes. They make excuses for those people. But the second a black person's involved, this is out of control. There's just as much fraud with other people. Absolutely. But, but if it's white people in the suburbs doing it, Republicans don't care. So this isn't all their outrage about what's happened. And we definitely can say, and something I have brought up a few times is that there definitely has to be, it is sickening to me the amount of people that when you pass a bill or a new program to try to help people, the first words out of their mouth are, how do we use this to rip off the government and take as much money for ourselves? That's unfortunate, but it's clearly this is the problem. So you have to have oversight within these bills. And that's the case. Sometimes they've caught them quick. Sometimes they haven't. When they, I should mention once again, Feeding Our Future. It was pretty clear that the Department of Education and the Attorney General were like, okay, something fraudulent is going on here, and a judge said, no, you still have to pay them. It wasn't until later, all of a sudden, we uncovered once the truth came out. Nah, you've got to. You can't have this kind of fraud. But here's the deal: this is the difference between me and a Republican. I think there needs to be accountability for the fraud that's happening within the welfare system, whether that was the English as a second language system, the food system, the housing help system. Obviously, people are abusing that system. Throw them in jail. But if it was a white dude who votes Republican out in the suburbs stealing $1 million worth of COVID funds, that person needs to go to jail too. And you see, there's the other part of it too. When they're talking about the black people who have embezzled money, it's always lifelong sentences. They never get out of prison. When it's a white guy in the suburbs who's caught stealing money, a slap on the wrist. I mean, it's embarrassing enough he was found out about. I mean, I think we all can realize that his embarrassment has been punishment enough. Like I said, I don't have any patience for Republicans because the Republicans have no problem with fraud when wealthy white people can commit it. And even when they do, they're out there basically trying to argue, should we really punish this person? 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Do you remember earlier last hour when I was talking about how sometimes you can get tells about what the motivation is of someone committing a crime by what you're not reading in the news story? Let's talk about the Twin Cities, the news media. There is an open expressway of information from the Minneapolis Police Department, the Hennepin County Attorney, St. Paul Police Department to KSTP, the right-wing news outlet, because as we learned with Pointergate, those guys will put out the most, anything that's pro-Republican, they kind of will do that. That's kind of the way they do things. And that's not just them. There are other right-wing news outlets, which I don't even mention, who as well have basically instant access. If there is a story that comes on out, there's a lefty that's involved, that's leaked, and the immediate character assassination happens. I want to remind people, somebody with the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office and with the county impound lot welcomed in a Republican news outlet to have access to a supposedly secure vehicle in the impound lot so they could do a smear campaign on the former Sheriff Hutch. They did that. I mean, that is so brazen. You clearly, all that evidence was just thrown out because as much as you can say, well, I didn't move anything, I just was basically given access to the car. Well, it's over at that point. And same thing goes because you can't guarantee anyone didn't have access to any other vehicles in that impound lot. That is who the Republicans are. That is what the right is. If they can find some way to abuse the system to make it a bad spin for Democrats, the police are more than welcome to help them, and they will do it with glee. So when you don't hear about motivations, that tells you that the conservatives are involved. A suspect has been arrested after firebombs were thrown at a Minneapolis ice cream shop twice in less than 15 hours, damaging the property but causing no injuries. Fletcher's Ice Cream and Cafe, good place, on East Hennepin Avenue near University, was targeted shortly after staff locked up for the night at about 10:45 p.m. on Sunday. Then again around at 1 p.m. the next Monday, a day is typically closed, said the owner, Jason Fletcher. Police say the suspect, a 30-year-old man from Fridley, is believed to be involved in both incidents. He was found in the vehicle at 4:25 p.m. Monday near the 4th Street and 15th Avenue, about a mile from the shop. The man remains jailed on Tuesday on suspicion of arson, is yet to be charged. The Star Tribune generally does not identify suspects before they're charged. I will say this. I'll give Star Tribune credit. They are one of the last people to go on out there because they want a confirmation. They I think rightly don't just say, hey, I'm with the cops. It was this guy. So they generally won't do this. So the Star Tribune story on this, they're kind of consistent on that. It's the right-wing guys. Whenever I read the story and they haven't put anything out about, it's a loony lefty. As a matter of fact, when they can't do that, that story floats way down their webpage. I will say that the story floats way down the webpage. If it can't be used against a Democrat, well, then it's not really something we want to talk about. The motive has not been determined, police said, but Fletcher said he suspected the attack was related to a gay pride flag prominently displayed on the building. We're not sure if it's because of all the inclusive gay pride flag, but it appears it might be. Now, I think you might be understanding where I'm going with this. If it was some guy who was screaming about Trump, obviously, guys, we can't. First of all, the police are there going, gosh, I like Trump. I don't want this guy besmirching Trump's name. We need Give the system time to let this play out. Let's not leak any information. No one needs to know what's going on. The news outlets are, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, it sounds like this guy might be conservative. You know what? Let's put this story back by the jumble in the back of the website. Now I'm mixing my media references. There you go. Minneapolis police fire officials at Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosive have collected evidence at the scene. Fletcher said someone got out of a minivan Sunday evening, threw a soda bottle containing an accelerant that was aflame. Said the bottle went through the window, spilled fuel on a couple of chairs, and caught them on fire. People from the nearby Max Industrial Sports Bar dashed out the scene and put the fire out. The last of the shop's employees had left about 6 minutes earlier, so someone was watching. In Monday's incident, the same person did the same thing, but the wick fell out. Fletcher said the bottle cracked one of the window panes, but didn't go through it. This guy's lucky he didn't set himself on fire. Tells you a lot there. So once again, if suddenly the privacy of the suspect, we need to preserve that. We need to make sure that we're not running to assumptions. Republican, Trump Republican, almost all the time. I'm not going to say absolutes, but almost all the time. Because if it's someone that the police can smear that's on the left, I guarantee you that information would already been out. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Tuesday.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. October is here, so Halloween is right around the corner. And if you're thinking of having a horror movie marathon with friends, you better make sure your home doesn't look like something out of one of those movies. Don't ghost your carpet this fall. My cleaning heroes at Zero Res can help get all those spooky smells and creepy stains out of your home. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, any surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. But there's something even scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home, and it's in your air ducts. This month, take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning service. Don't let a missed deal haunt you. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com today and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
So an atheist, a Christian, and a Buddhist walk into a church. There's no punchline. That's just what happens every Sunday at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. It's all the thoughtful reflection, community, and warmth of a Sunday service without religious doctrine. Curious? Find out what we're all about. Join us for Sundays Reimagined at First Unitarian Society or live stream at firstunitarian.org. Think outside the pew.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. I do like it when I can end my show with some good news. And Lydia Kaiser is good news. The 8th grader who survived the Annunciation Church and School mass shooting thanked everyone who offered love and support throughout her healing journey. A GoFundMe set up for Lydia Kaiser's benefit shared a statement directly from her. Thank you all for supporting me. I am doing okay. I've been allowed to return to school, which is great because I miss my friends. And it was hard to miss out on so much. I still can't play sports, but I've been cheering on my friends and running the scoreboard. Good for you. Good for you. I get tired more than usual, and I'm not really getting headaches like I used to. Good. Although, sorry about you getting tired. My hair is starting to grow back, and it looks fuzzy where they shaved it off for the surgery. I hope it grows back before I start high school. I don't think it will grow that fast, though. You'd be surprised. Hopefully, it does grow pretty quick for you here. I would be, hopefully soon here. I am sad for Harper's sister and Fletcher's siblings. Sometimes I think I'm going to wake up from a dream, even though I know what happened is real. It's so hard to believe I actually got shot, and other kids did too. It makes me angry, but I don't want to let the shooter win. This is my last year in Annunciation. I've been going there my whole life, and it's like my home and family. I'm going to do everything I can to enjoy my 8th grade year. Thank you so much for your prayers and for all your love and support. Lydia was one of the victims injured in the Annunciation school shooting, underwent surgery to have a piece of her skull removed to let her brain swell and heal. Lydia was injured while protecting her friends during the shooting. On her road to recovery, her family offered an update in mid-September saying she had begun sharing small amounts of normalcy that included being released and having meals at home again. The GoFundMe adds that Lydia's father, Harry, is a gym teacher in the school and stayed with the children in the church until they were reunited with their families. Meanwhile, Lydia was injured while protecting her friend during the shooting. Very brave, indeed. The Uvalde Foundation for Kids, a nonprofit formed in response to the 2022 shooting at the Robb Elementary School in Texas, previously announced it would be awarding Lydia its National Student Heroism Award, which also includes a scholarship. The actions of this young lady were nothing short of heroic. There's no question that her selflessness and dedication to her friends and peers manifested that day into her brave action and risked her own life to protect another student from gunfire. Lydia faced a danger in a display of heroism that will not be forgotten, said Daniel Chapin, the founder of the nonprofit, in a provided statement. It is good to see you get back at school, although I imagine the homework is not as much fun and stuff like this. And you know, it does sound like obviously you want to so much get out there and play your sports again, and I can get that. There is a character of an individual that arises in moments like this, that you don't know what kind of person you are until you really are there. I remember when they had the movie theater shooting and there were boyfriends that were killed because they threw themselves on top of their girlfriends to prevent them from getting shot. Now, back then, rightos got all upset saying, well, if you were a real man, you wouldn't have just sat there and been shot. You would have gotten your gun out. Yeah, exactly. To throw yourself onto another human being, to say whatever damage is about to come their way, I will take to try to save their life, is a level of heroism which very few people have within themselves. And once again, this is not something that you kind of choose to do. It's just something that happens. You don't know. But Lydia, she just showed everybody who the real Lydia is through her selfless and insanely brave actions. I really, really hope you are completely healed. I'm pretty sure that your hair will be back by high school. Hey, can some salon in town, when her hair grows out, there are some great short haircuts. Those are out there. I had girls, they sometimes got their hair cut short. Trust me, it will work for you. Somebody, I'll pay for it. If she wants to, when that happens. Alrighty, we can do that. All my best, Lydia. Some good news for your day. Native Roots Radio is up next. Have a good one. We're back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a